This video is brought to you by Squarespace. Squarespace is the perfect all-in-one platform to grow your business and create a unique online presence. Hello you guys, today I'm going to share some plant styling tips and walk you through my thought process when placing plants, like why I put them there, which ones I put, and just like what I'm thinking when I'm styling plants. If you're new here, just to give you an idea of my plant and home aesthetic, I love a warm and airy atmosphere. I like when plants look overgrown, natural, and effortless, but I still want them to look clean and thoughtful. I want my home to be filled with plants, but at the same time not feel cluttered. It's difficult to decorate with plants because it's a balance between presentation and cultivation. You want your plant to look good where it's placed, but you also want it to receive the correct growing conditions. I really value the structure and silhouette of plants, so I try to highlight that as best I can. I do this by spacing plants apart or creating small 3 to 5 plant groupings. I'm very much a visual learner, so I'm going to show you examples of my plant design and explain what I'm thinking. I was going to walk around and show you guys the different areas of my apartment, but I think it would be more valuable if I show a picture on the screen and then I analyze the photo and walk through my design process. I've never done this kind of video format, so hopefully it works out. We're going to start in the entryway, like when you first enter the apartment. I really wanted like a frame of plants, so it's like welcoming you inside right when you open the door. I did this with the Dracaena reflexa, which is also called Song of India tree. It's a very large tree, very unique shape and nice colors, and it's not so bushy that it completely covers like your vision. You can still see through it, and it curves in this interesting way that really does frame the apartment. Something that I really consider is like, what does it look like when you first enter? Does it feel like you're being invited in, or does it feel like, oh, let me like scooch around these plants? So that kind of thing. And I also do that with furniture as well. You can see the Dracaena like wrapping around, and then behind it, like way back to the kitchen, you can also see the Passiflora doing the same thing, but in a different direction and in a different layer because it is so much further back. I feel like a teacher right now, like I'm teaching a Zoom class. When you enter, on the left side there's a wood table, and this is the first instance of a grouping of plants. Side note, wood works really well with plants, it just complements it and it looks great together. In this grouping, there's a Monstera deliciosa, a Philodendron hederaceum lemon lime, and an Anthurium cyrenoi. When grouping plants, I really consider the size and motion of the plants. What I mean by motion is that when I look at plants, the direction that they're growing, I feel a sense of motion from it. So the philodendron is growing upwards and it has a sense of upward motion. And then the Anthurium that's hanging has downward motion because the leaves are like hanging down and it's growing downwards, and it looks like it's being affected by gravity. I don't think that the Monstera necessarily looks great here, especially from this angle, because it has leaves that are blocking the view of the philodendron, but it overall looks pretty good to me. I also think that the light green of the hederaceum lemon lime looks really good with the darker green of the Monstera and the Anthurium. I have a lot more examples of this like upward and downward motion thing in different areas of my home. I also have some examples just within like a plant pot or a terrarium. This is something that I learned from the aquarium hobby. The different directions in motion just really adds a lot of dynamics to the composition of your plant arrangement. So here's a better view of the overall picture. What I really like about my Song of India tree is that it's also kind of framing the window here too as well. And then on the other side of it, it is the philodendron that's climbing up. So they kind of balance each other out. On the Song of India tree, I have my Passiflora that is growing inside of the same pot and it's climbing up the actual tree. So I think that adds kind of like a cool look to it, builds on that like overgrown, natural look that I'm kind of going for. This is one of my favorite angles of my apartment. It shows my IKEA greenhouse cabinet, it shows the Song of India tree, the dining table, the light, the vines that are climbing around the window. Yeah, it just looks very nice. It's one of my favorite angles to take pictures from in my apartment. For this area, I'm going to focus more on like the dining table. I talked about it earlier, but you can see the vines, how they're hanging and draping. I don't necessarily think they look natural, but they don't look too intentional. Over time, as the leaves grow towards the sun and it grows into the space, it'll look more natural. Like when I first pinned these leaves up, they looked so like I just pinned the leaves up. But now I think it kind of gives a more messily clean look. I love how the pendant light looks here and how the vines are kind of like playing with the pendant light almost. I also really like how red the philodendron micans is. It works well with the green philodendron on the right instead of the micans. If I had a green philodendron, I don't think that this pairing would look as good. From the dining area looking into the kitchen, this is what you see. The passiflora is looking a little bit crazy right now because it's super overgrown, but once again, I love how it frames the window. I don't have window frames, so I did it with plants instead. These leaves of the passiflora are very dainty and have a very unique shape. It just looks really good in this area, especially when the windows open and the breeze comes in. The leaves like flutter in the wind like butterfly wings. It's super pretty. So I just recently added this light here, and I was sort of on the fence about it because of the color of the cord. I wanted to add some color into the kitchen other than just plants and then these blue curtains. It's like a pop of color, but it's not so distracting. And I think it looks pretty nice with the avocado tree that's underneath it and also across from the passiflora. The avocado that I have down there, I think it works well to balance out the passiflora on the right. In this composition, there's the light that's hanging down, and then there's also the passiflora that's going up. So once again, that concept of motion. So the wall that is next to my dining table is my staghorn fern wall, and this isn't really how I want it to be. I think that the positions of the staghorn ferns and the fiddle-leaf fig and the shelf are just kind of off. Like something looks off to me here. I'll need to do some work on that later. I'm thinking of adding maybe more staghorn ferns and moving that fiddle-leaf fig somewhere, and then perhaps like changing the height of the shelf. Now we're just gonna quickly look at the living room. It's not really a space that is complete yet. It's in this weird transition because my roommates are going to be moving out, so there's like more furniture than there should be right now. I got these really tall bookshelves, and eventually I'm going to figure out how to like arrange plants on here with the books that I have and that Chris has, and also just like little knickknacks and stuff. And I'll probably be putting a grow light above these shelves as well. Moving on to the bathroom, this used to be one of my least favorite places. Before, we had this really horrible like white fluorescent lighting, and it was just not good vibes for the bathroom. It was like you're in a doctor's office. I'm using these Soltech Solution grow lights, the Vita bulbs. They just have like a really nice warm yellow look, and they also allow me to put plants in the bathroom. The bathroom is super white and very cold, and I wanted to add some warmth to it, so I did that with that little wood shelf that I have down there, and also the cork boards that are holding my cosmetics and also some plants. I used the passiflora to climb up the cords and to give it like that grown in look that I was talking about. And then I also hung some platycerium up. So there's a platycerium that's on the left side, and then also another platycerium that's on the right side. On the right pegboard, I have the string of turtles. I think that also looks good with the hanging lights and also the hanging air plant that I hung from the cord. It just adds like a very like pulling down look to it. And then on the left, the passiflora is growing up. So you have that upward motion and that downward motion again. I just love the bathroom now because it's so much cozier feeling. But this is the view of the bathroom from the door. So there's my shower, and in there I have a marble queen pothos, and then I have two ferns, and then again there's the passiflora vine. That passiflora vine is climbing on the trellis, and then I put the trellis there with the use of the plastic adhesive clips. Eventually it'll like take over that corner, which I think will look really good. Moving on from the bathroom to one of my favorite places, which is the bedroom. I wanted my bedroom to feel a lot more open, especially because in my old college house, my bedroom, which was like my plant room, my aquarium room, everything, it felt so overwhelming, and every time I walked in, I felt like I had to take care of something. I wanted to keep it pretty spacious when you first enter. Right now, so here's just my bed, and then I have that passiflora vine on the clear string that's gonna go across. Then I have that one mountain staghorn fern right there, and then on the right side is where it gets more dense with plants. I don't know if this is like the most ideal grouping now that I'm looking at it, but I do really like how the Philodendron glorious, which is the tall plant that's in the corner, and the Anthurium pendens go together. So here's a closer view of the two plants together. I think it looked better when the plants weren't as large, because now the Anthurium is covering up the Philodendron and blocking it a little bit, but it still looks pretty good. I just love how these two look together. Also the different leaf shapes of the Philodendron, which is more round and large, and then the Anthurium is very narrow and skinny and kind of sharp looking, like a sword almost. And then the Philodendron kind of looks like a shield, so like a sword and a shield. Very cool. Here's a view of the bedroom if you're like standing in the closet. Also, happy Pride Month. You can see outside onto my balcony, and then you can see like how the shelves look in relation to the corner plant grouping. I didn't do this intentionally, but I'm just noticing it now. It's interesting how the glorious is like the top point, and then it goes down like steps descending to the lower plants on the floor. If I had more space, I would not put those 3 plants on the right on the floor. I'd find a different spot for them, but this is just such an optimal light area for them, getting the diffused western exposure through the curtains. And then you can see Theo there. He's so cute with his cone. On the right is where I have my Muji shelves. I love this shelf set with the plants and the books and the grow lights and the tools and my bags on the right. I didn't put that much planning when I placed the plants where they are, because I do move around the plants on the shelf a lot. But what I really like about this setup is how different each leaf is. Well, except for those Anthurium that are on the top, but most of the plants here are very different from each other, and they're also in unique pots, but the pots are still cohesive. So I've been meaning to do a video tutorial on how to choose the right pot for your plants, like aesthetically. I will be doing it eventually, but I'm just not sure when. You can see here I kind of have like a very similar color scheme going on. Neutrals with a pop of blue. And then the books add their own color at the bottom, which I really like as well. There's just so much variety here with the leaves and the plants. Like nothing is too similar. Also on the right, I have some terrariums, some moss terrariums. And then on the top left, I have some of my carnivorous plants. I just noticed that you can see Theo in the little corner on the bottom left side. So with these shelves, I really wanted to be able to highlight each plant, kind of like a gallery display or a museum or a store even. Each plant is in its own compartment and has its own cute little pot pairing. So that's the look that I was going for with this. Very clean and like intentionally placed, but still not looking super forced because of all of the variety of the different plants and the different pots. If each plant was in the same exact pot with the same color, like if they were all terracotta, I think it would look good, but not very interesting. Because the plants are all placed so specifically, if you had like the same pot, say they were all terracotta or all white, it would just look very forced, intentional, kind of, you know what I mean? So that's why I think the intentionally placed plants work well, because of the different pots and the different leaf shapes and colors and things like that. I feel like I have so many more ideas and more things to share. Yeah, if you want more videos like this, let me know. Before I go, I would like to thank the sponsor of this week's video, which is Squarespace. As you guys know, I use Squarespace for my website, benjiplant.com. I've been talking about this for a while, but I finally added my storefront to my personal website. I love how Squarespace makes it easy to customize fonts, colors, and my layout exactly how I imagined. Right now, I don't have that many products listed, but I'm planning to add more things in the future like plants and top dressing. A feature that I'm extremely fond of is the option for customers to sign up for notifications when a product restocks. The Passiflora that I sell sells out very quickly, and this way people who are interested in it can be notified when it's back in stock. As a content creator, it's very important for my social media accounts to be easily accessible by viewers. I like how Squarespace allows you to put links to your social media as clickable icons. It's easy to spot and it looks nice visually. Another important aspect to consider as a content creator is that most people view my content from their phones. And what's great about Squarespace is that it formats your website to fit perfectly on mobile devices. Head to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/benjiplant for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if you're interested in more videos like this. I definitely have more ideas and thoughts to share. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.